Welcome to Danielle Scraps. My name is Danielle and I'm glad that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and that bell so you don't miss another tutorial.
Welcome back. Today we're going to make this super cute layout. Let's get started. Alright, I'm going to use French vanilla for my base paper, and for my accent pieces here I'm using Wildly Flowering paper. This paper is filled with some soft, subtle colors and flowers, and I want to incorporate a fall theme with it. I'm going to grab some random shapes and images from Design Space, like this specific little sweater here, which is also cut from that Wildly Flower paper collection. And let's get started with layering these. So I am going to just create sister pages here first. Just layering these strips down at the top and the bottom. Any adhesive will work for you, liquid, dry, whichever you prefer, so don't get hung up on that. When I'm laying this down, I am actually using more of the muted tone-on-tone side than I am the printed side with the flowers. And I really just wanted the focus to be on whatever my pictures are going to be. They're a little loud, and you won't see them in this particular video, but they're a little loud. So that paper being loud, I wanted to focus on the more muted side. Now you'll see that when you are playing with this, you can use whichever side suits your photos. So do keep that in mind. I really enjoyed the back of the large floral mum-like print because it has this texture to it that you sort of saw there. And that's what kind of gave me the inspiration for a sweater image to be cut out. I have a little bit of a hangover here, so just going to trim those off with my scissors, no big deal. And then I'm going to go ahead onto the second page here and get that started with mimicking exactly what I did on that first page. This project is going to hold 2 4x6 photos, 2 3x4 photos, and 2 3x3 photos. You could swap one of those photo mats for a journaling mat if you wanted to. I will say that my mats that are in here are cut true to size, so they are 6x4, 3x3, and a 3x4. And your pictures, if you follow these dimensions exactly, will need to be cut down by 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch on 2 sides, the long side and the short side. You could do all 4, but it's not necessary. You only need to do 2 for it to be even. Okay. So you'll see here I made a little bit of a snap fooey, and I'll notice it as soon as I put the 2 pages together that, oops, I went ahead and did a red, pink, blue sort of combo instead of blue, purple, pink. So I just grabbed my little spatula here from my Cricut and just kind of pop those off really quick, which is good because the adhesive didn't really have time to cure, so I didn't have to really worry about it ripping anything. I added just a little bit more adhesive to the back here just to kind of secure that, and then I'll put this right back down to the way that I had this. I do have a Design Space file created with those images because I do have Cricut access. Some of those images may or may not be available if you don't have Cricut access or own those particular cartridges or images through there. Okay. So now let's get started with doing a little bit of prep work. Here's a little book that I printed or cut from Cricut, and I'm going to use just a little glue pen here to attach the pages to my base. And I used a soft linen colored cardstock from Close to My Heart, and I did that because I really didn't want a stark bright white in here because there are a lot of muted colors in here. So that's my reasoning or my choice for doing that page there. I thought this would be a cute little spot to write some little journaling in there. And after I had it all cut out, I thought, oh my gosh, I should have used my Cricut to actually write on there. That would have been even better, at least like a date or something of that nature. Now I'm just going to come in with some ink and I'm going to sponge and distress the edge of my sweater. I just want to make it pop a little bit. I see I'm a little off camera here, so I do apologize about that. So I just take my finger dauber, put it in a little bit of ink here, and then just smush or smudge the edges just to create some texture, and it also creates like a shadow or a pops when you have it down on your page, and it doesn't allow it to blend in with your page. It sort of helps it stick out, if you will. Doesn't take much time at all, and a little bit of ink sort of goes a really long way with these things. And the beauty of this is you can just add as much or as little as you like. I will say though, like right here, this one, I got a little bit more ink than I would have liked, so it sort of looks like when it's all said and done, there's like this little sweat stain on my sweater. So, oh well, it is what it is. We're not perfect, are we? My kids are going to love the page that I create. This is it's going to be one of my son's pages, just where he gathers some of his favorite things that he likes to do. Anyways, and yes, this is totally cool to be a masculine page. It doesn't need, just because there's some florals in there or what have you, it doesn't need to be strictly feminine. I'm going to do the same thing with my book here, and I'm just doing sort of the outside or the perimeter of it, and doing a little bit of sapphire ink on there. I have a ton of leftover inks from Close to My Heart that I am using while I build my stash with Stampin' Up. Now I'm going to come in with that same sort of ink. Let me zoom in here really quick, and I'm just going to use that same finger dauber and just give these leaves a little bit of texture and dimension with that ink shadowing on here. And it's just enough to sort of make them pop, and then I'm going through the edges and give them that shadow that I was talking about doing with the sweater that I didn't really get to capture on camera. I love it. It comes out really cute, I think. So as you're going through and doing these things and adding your texture with your ink, some other ways that you can do it is direct ink to paper. And you can see here that I've taken a little bit of black and gone over the sweater just to sort of give it a little extra oomph. So if you don't have a finger dauber, don't worry about it. You can do ink pad direct to paper kind of deal here. So now that we have some of these things that are worked out a little bit, we're going to start applying them. We're going to start with the left side of the page first, and that's that 6x4, 3x3, and a 3x4 here that we've got going on. However you want to lay this out is how it will work. You can see I'm going to play with it a little bit until I feel that it's right. Again, this title is just a title that I found on Cricut Design Space that I thought was super cute. It says Cozy Days. And then it has 3 little hearts that come with it that we're going to pop in here just right now. I always like to do a dry run with my layouts. This way, if I don't really like the way something is, or I feel like needs a little bit more, I have an opportunity to do that versus just coming in and gluing everything down. Once I like how it looks, then I'll go ahead and adhere everything down on there so that it turns out great. So for the book, I want to pop it up, so I'm going to add some dimensionals to this. Doesn't take a lot, just a few pieces so that it's supported. I like to do the corners and maybe like 1 or 2 in the middle, just so that it doesn't sag over time inside that book. So go ahead and add, take that release paper off and add that right there. Now, a really nice thing that you could do if you wanted to add a little oomph to this is do some ink to paper right there underneath the book to give it even more of a shadow, if you will. I don't choose not to do this. I would like to keep this simplistic because once I add my pictures in and I do my journaling in, I feel like this page is really going to start to pop. So let's go ahead and add those dimensionals to the back of the hearts and give those a little chance to pop up. And you'll see that like what this does, just those couple of things popped up make a ton of difference. So it's just not one-dimensional. You have that 3-dimensional look to it. And in person, it is really stunning, I think. So there's that left side page. Now we're going to go ahead and do the right side of the page, and it's going to mirror And in essence, the left side, so we're going to make some sister pages here. Like I said, my sweater's going to go here. I'm going to pull in these wisps. It's sort of like wind, if you will, going through here, and they have some leaves that are attached to them. And excuse me. And that's going to go right here, that sort of highlight that. And this is the square, the 3x3 square that I think would be really good if I turn this into a journaling square. So to attach these, because they're so fine, I decided to just put some adhesive on the edge of my photo mat here, or my journaling mat, and then attach them just on the end to this so that I didn't have to really mess with the glue pen a whole lot here. Put a little adhesive right on top, add the rest of the adhesive to the mat, and then now I can just apply that down and then add the leaves in to fill in some of those spaces between those wisps. Okay, for the sweater, I'm going to add dimensionals and pop that up. And this would be a really cute sweater, like with that printed material right there. Like, how cute is this? I'm so excited for this page to turn out. And I will share my design space link with my customers so that they are able to duplicate this whenever they would like. I think that they'll really enjoy having the access to this to get that taken care of and play with it. So let's remove that release paper, and we're going to pop this right down on this side here. Now, we could stop here. We could be done. Technically, it's completed. Just add your pictures in your journaling. I'm going to add some embellishments. I thought about using these industrial trinkets that I got with the adventure paper for the airplanes, but decided it just wasn't right. And so then I do add in some of these really cute iridescent gems that I got with one of my paper pumpkin kits that I had leftovers of. So I said, oh my gosh, this is just super cute. I have to add it in with the wisps of the wind and put it right there by the title. So I do add a few of those in on here. Again, we could stop here. Essentially, it's done. It's a super simple layout, not too labor intensive, right? Cricut did most of the work for us at this point. But I would like to actually bring in one of the stamp sets that was released from Stampin' Up, called More Than Autumn. I like this. It has a set of dies that you can get with it or without it. Very fall themed. And it has a lot of little sentiments in it that I thought captured the essence of the theme for this layout. So that's why I pulled it out. So I sort of go through and just decide what am I going to do and how am I going to piece this together so that I like what's going on here. One of the titles in here is called Nothing's Better Than, and then you can fill in the blanks with that. I really thought that was unique. And so I thought, I'm going to put that right above this picture here because nothing's better than cozy days. Totally fills it in. It draws your eye from the left of the page to the right of the page. And you're able to do some stamping and additional things with that title. So then I thought, oh my gosh, I love coffee. My son loves hot cocoa, and tea is really his kind of thing. They don't have a tea one, so we're going to go with coffee and call it a day. I am cutting out that title, a cinnamon stick, a leaf, the coffee mug, some whipped cream, some sprinkles, which I realized afterwards that it's not sprinkles. That die is actually for marshmallows, or I guess you could use it for ice cubes too. This is the mini stamp embosser. Nope, that is not right. It is not a stamp embosser. This is the mini cut machine. Oh my gosh, I am just lost for words right now. Okay, so this right here is super cute. It's tiny. It does a wonderful job cutting out your dies from Stampin' Up. I have not had any issues with it. My plate is already warped. I've used it so much. Turned it around. Of course, I know how to flatten them out and all of those good things, but I really am impressed with the power that this little machine sort of packs in. it took me a minute to kind of get the learning curve for it, but nothing too strenuous. Let's go ahead and do our stamping on this part here. I thought about maybe bringing in a little bit of blue, because sometimes blue on white will give a nice shadow effect, like this old glacier color. But I decide, and you'll see in here, that it's probably not the best setup to do it for this, and you'll see what I mean here in a moment. So let's zoom in here. I'm going to condition these stamps because they're brand new. I've not used them yet. It just sort of removes any film from the manufacturing process. All right, so let's just do a couple of stamps here just to see how this does, and then we are going to do our best here to line this up and stamp in. It does a nice job. You get a nice clean image. I really enjoy using these stamps. They do a very nice job of transitioning or transferring the image is actually the correct word I want to use here. So let's use our cinnamon stick, and we're going to put that into our whipped cream, and I'm going to show you here how I do that so that it sits inside of the whipped cream versus behind it or just directly on top. There is where I discovered that that piece is not for sprinkles, it is for marshmallows. Okay, so let's test out my color theory here. What's going to look better, this light grayish, brownish color, this mink color, if you will, or the glacier blue for our whipped cream to give it some definition. And I'm going to go ahead and go with that mink. I think it does a wonderful job of creating those lines that you want to see in there. And again, it stamps so nice. It's so easy to line up, which I'm really pleased with. So we're going to put that right on top. I'm going to come in with a dark brown and add some sprinkles right on top of my whipped cream here. And then I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to create a little slit in here because I really want my cinnamon stick to kind of fall into the curves there of that whipped cream. I don't want to stick it behind. I want it a little realistic, if you will, considering how realistic our sweater is. It takes me a couple of passes through here. I'm trying to be very careful not to rip a huge hole in here, but it takes a couple of passes just to make sure it's right. I'd rather take my time and do it a few times than to rush through and then it rips. So I end up flipping it over and just cutting from behind a little extra slit. And that is a nice tight fit, which is great. I'm not too worried about it falling out. I just add a little adhesive behind it. See what I mean there? Isn't that great? It just sticks in there like it would in real life. I did cut out coffee from that stamp and set that has those coordinating dies and put that right there on top. Now here is our nothing's better than sentiment over there, and I'm going to tuck in my coffee. I just tied right in with my sweater. I thought it went perfect right there. In hindsight, maybe I should have put it on the other side to cover up that little blemish from my excessive shadowing with my ink here. I'm just going ahead and adding in this leaf that's also part of this stamp and die set bundle, and then we'll add in our coffee here, and I'm going to put a little dimensional between the sweater and the sleeve here just so that image doesn't fall or warp in. It has a nice even playing field here. I play with my sentiment a little bit. I thought about it. I decided to add a little bit of inking to this to make it pop. And when I do that, I place it back around the page a few times just to kind of get a feel for where this is going to sit nice and have the eye pop, right? So I just add those little details to it. And it's fun to sort of play with techniques that are old, because sometimes what's old is new again, if you will. And so definitely adding those shadows or distressing with ink is really what it is. It's really fun. So I decided that blends in way too much, and I kind of want to, again, draw that eye over. It also creates a visual triangle. So if you use that sentiment, the book, and the Cozy Days sentiment or title, that creates like a visual triangle. And so now my eye is naturally moving around that left side of the page, and I can follow suit when I add my pictures and or journaling in. So I'm just going to smash that down with a little block just to help that adhere. And I'm going to go ahead and decorate the other side of the page. So for this one, I just wanted to add in another sentiment piece. And so I'm just studying all of the little items that come in here. And I decided to settle on grateful it's finally fall. Because isn't it just a perfect season? You know, throw on your favorite sweater, you grab your book, and then you snuggle in with a hot cup of tea, coffee, latte, whatever, and then it's just like a cozy day. So I really thought that this was a fun sentiment. I wish I would have stamped fall first and then added in grateful it's finally, just so that I could have put it so that that grateful it's finally was in the middle of the word fall, because fall is such a big word compared to this in a different font. But at the end of the day, it's fine the way that it is. Again, my kids are not going to look at this page and criticize and be like, oh my gosh, I can't look at this layout. Okay, moving on. Let's add a little bit of fun detail to the title here. So what I like to do, which is sort of ham these up a little bit, is I'm going to grab a white gel pen and I'm just adding 3 little dots to each little letter, kind of moving up and down the letters so that your eye goes across the entire piece here on that word cozy. I'm going to add in some lines to that leaf that we did some ink distressing on, just to sort of give it some dimension there. And then I'm going to come in on days and I am going to do a little stitch or faux stitching look on there, and all 3 of those techniques come together so nice, and it just really makes this title pop, and then a little squiggly on the hearts as if they're shining through. And we'll just add some detail over here to that nothing's better than sentiment that we did that die cutting from the More Than Autumn die set. So here we have a really cute layout. We've done a couple of techniques on it. It's ready for pictures. It's ready for some details. And the last thing that we have to do is just add our journaling and pictures to this. So let me zoom out here and we will take a look at both of the pieces together. Super cute. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and that this has inspired you to fall in love with More Than Autumn stamp set. Until next time, I'll see you soon.